Eric is looking out of the hall's windows onto the bay. A fleet of longships approach with sails of bold reds and blues. One banner I know well, Vognir. Next to Valking's ship last we spoke, the other flag looks important. Yes, important guests. See what I deal with all day long. Things like make a little more sense. You hoped I'd have a stake in saying everything's fine here when the royal guests arrived. Not me, the governor. Now I have to make sure there are no rotting bodies or pools of entrails still in the Great Hall before they come by. Can I ask one more favour? What is it? If you happened to stall our guests down the docks, I wouldn't object. Maybe I will. Eric and Valgod hustle from the meat house. To his credit, Eric tosses the barkeep a spar of silver for the mess. You give an apologetic shrug and go to greet the new arrivals down at the docks. Just He's already been paid by Eric, hasn't he? Let's get to the docks then. Eubin says, Vognir. A familiar Val steps onto the docks. In your mind, you recall a much younger version, tramping the halls of Grofheim, abundant in purpose. God, Zubin, you're looking ancient. Comes with being old, and if there is Vognir, there must be Hakon. Must have a good sense of humour, must there? Still bleeding tributes from the poor and stupid. Old Yox, I'm guessing that's an ox in this world. At what age do you lose a sense of shame? Jorunda demands it. I'll take that over lingering to death in Grofheim. Speaking of, I had no sense that you were so far from home. Just returned from Arberang, in fact. God, these words make. And glad for it. I tried to speak a little bit of Finnish when I was there and it was terrible. Learned to speak any Scandinavian. Hakon motions to the other ships in the bay. Sails still fluttering, golden wolf head emblazoned on red. The king of men, or someone on his behalf. The king's whelp. The king's son, Ludin. Don't you know Scrivener? We visit his capital, he visits ours. It's how you make alliances these days. It's a miserable waste of time. It's probably true. Yes, Hakon has it. I'd almost forgotten. It's a good thing you're around, Hakon. Then you're going to Grofheim. I have the distinct feeling I finished my business in Strand and was heading there myself. We should caravan. Ooh, more people to fight with. We should. Give it a day. In better circumstances I'd drink a week. I'd drink a week away, but let's just be done. Find me tomorrow at the gates. What's he trying to say? Is the prince in his delight to behold? Where's Mogr and Hakon? Have him find a place to put up the warriors. I'm heading up to meet the governor. A host of giants depart in his wake. You recognise a few. Others are strangers to you. Guess I'm off to find Mogr. See you in the morning, Scrivener. I'll be along. God, he does look old, doesn't he? The young prince of men ambles from his ship. He brushes off his tunic, scanning the beach with low eyelids. Ludin looks for all the world the sort of boy who grew up pulling the legs from spiders. The long road back to Grofheim should be more interesting than most years, you think. Weariness suddenly settles in and you chuckle to yourself about what an odd day it has been. One of the governor's men at the Great Hall could find you a place to sleep. On the other hand, if you're going to join Vognir's caravan tomorrow, it might not hurt to share a drink with Hakon or introduce yourself to the prince they spoke so highly of. These are hard choices. Let's go talk to the prince, because we don't know him at all. We know Hakon a bit. Is this the right place? You find the prince at an inn. Guards blanket the building, including a sharp-eyed Vol who must be working for Ludin. A woman in red eventually waves you over and stands nearby, arms crossed. Greetings, Prince Ludin. Yes, you're with Vognir. I don't remember you. Not exactly. I've known Vognir for a long time. I'll be joining you back to Grofheim with my guards. Ludin looks up for the first time. The woman doesn't react. Why? I work for the king, carrying tithes to the capital. we crossed by chance. Oh, a tax collector. Fine company. What do you want? Well, I have a habit of recording history. I thought we might talk about your visit. Just to introduce myself. You collect taxes for the Vile territories. A true pleasure. Yes. An awkwardness hangs in the air like a thick fog. You take the opportunity to depart. Luden seems like a cock. Scrivener. You find Hakon in a meat house surrounded by other Val. Strand is no stranger to Val, but rarely sees this many. Hakon waves you over. Went straight for a flagon, did you? Vognir's the one who agreed to pass up a drink. I wasn't invited to the governor's hall anyway. You already missed the massacre. Every year I make the rounds collecting taxes. Every year it's the human settlements that gives me trouble. No surprise. What this time? When I got here, the Great Hall was already full of bodies. We added a few more. Humans. I guess if I only lived as long as a Yoxvar, I might be desperate to make something of myself too. So I'm assuming they live much longer than humans. It's not too late to start trying Hakon. Hakon lets slip a low chuckle. Any Val could recount his deeds, known as he is for cutting a swathe through the dredge at Vognir's side in the Second War and regularly since then. Down here I'm a glorified bodyguard. You might have a point, just another reason to get back to Grifheim. Soon enough, I imagine. You drink until the meat house becomes overbearing, then step back into the cool air outside. So although we've got Luden who's a twat, we've got Hakon who's lovely. At dawn you're awakened by a delivery of goods, at least you think it's dawn. Damn hard to tell with the sun that never moves. The governor's crest adorns the supply leathers. All there. Just as promised, to your mild surprise, you wonder if Eric had anything to do with that. Your guards take the treasure wagon down to the gates. Vognir is already there. A while later, Luden and his men appear, groggy and dishevelled. Plus 20 renown, that seems a lot. Mogra steps forward, Vognir's quartermaster. If you recall correctly, in charge of his unwielding entourage of warriors, you know him only in passing. He asks if you're ready to part. Of course we're ready. You follow Mognir and join the others. Usually the smaller doors set into the gates would be enough to enter or leave the city, but the town guards have been told to push them open entirely. They mutter things under their breath that are best not heard. Perhaps the governor expects you to draw a crowd, but there's nothing of that sort, just frustrated, tired-looking people. It summarises Strand well as a whole, you think. Nice little town. Seems we've got quite a long caravan now. What's this timer? Oh, days. We have great morale. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of people. Because we have so many people, it seems our supplies have gone down massively. The caravan stops for a day. A gift, says Moga, cracking open mead casks from our gracious host, the governor of Strand. Gracious friend, sorry. Hours pass with the raucous laughter as the mead is passed throughout the camp. Toast to Vognir. You raise your drink, toasting the alliance between man and Val. The others join in. Luden's expression is like a stone wall, but the others laugh at your exaggerations. Eventually you sit down beside Vognir. Chat with Vognir. Thanks for the speech, slays Vognir. Looks like you didn't have to miss out after all. Thanks to Mogra, I thought the damned governor would never shut up. Did he give you the history of entire family? He tried, then he asked me to clean up his mess. For your benefit, it turns out. I'd have given the job to you too. Gods, there's no joy in politics. Speaking of what happens after this business with Luden. Hopefully the boy goes back to Aberrang on his own, and I can take out some frustration on Dredge or something. Starting to sound like Hakon. You don't like the life of a diplomat then? Haha, don't you miss the fight, Ubin? You down your mead instead of replying. Vognir slouches and shakes his head. There's no great joy in killing Dredge, but pretty sure this nonsense is some scheme between the two kings to force some kind of lineage. Used to be warriors would follow you for what you'd done. Isn't that why they follow you now? Is it? Or is it because I'm the next in line? These lines are getting muddy, old Val. They've always been muddy, Vognir. Vognir stares into the campfire, lost in thought. You leave him to it. A lot of not so lovely things to think about. You rise groggily from the campsite, a casualty of merriment. Moga is already kicking warriors awake when you spot Luden stalking your direction. He sidesteps sleeping bodies. You better wake up. You nudge Vognir. You're needed. Ah, it's Luden. Always a pleasure. You look well rested. Just trying to be nice to him. Vognir releases a caged yawn and receives a hard-eyed stare in return. How long to Grovheim? Ha, we're only 2 days out of Strand, you know. Come, I'll show you on a map. Appropriate. World map. Click and drag the map to look around. A portrait icon shows where your caravan is in the world. You can also click on any location to get some history about it. When you're done with the map, click X at the bottom of the screen. The Great Loom. So Strand must be somewhere around here. Right, there it is. It's that little city there. So we're heading through the Wandering Road, I think. The long snowfields, tall mountains, and sparse woods of Hrun. The Great First War, the Val had more to contend with than mankind to the south. So, but the entire Val rose across the snowfields and dredge as they went before forming the first Val kingdom out. Basically made a long road between kingdoms. We head north, then east past the forts. Grovheim's far from Strand, going to be a long march. You should have a drink last night, Luden. You should have drank last night, Luden. Why not take the ships to Scrimmisted? Scrimmisted? What's the point of marching? The Silverstone Bay is called that for a reason. It stays covering it in ice all year. It would tear up the long ships. Too bad though. We could have shown you all the wonders of Scrimmisted. Scrimmisted. A half-sunken city crawling with dredge, Prince. Dredge and glaciers. You like glaciers? Luden exhales through his nose, a poor disguise for his contempt. He turns and bats aside the tent flaps as he goes, barking at his company in the distance. Don't poke the anthill, Vognir. He seems no happier to be here than you. Been a few more days with the boy, old friend, and you'll be looking for a tall cliff to hop off to. Luden's got a shorter wick than Hakon. Thanks to Vognir. Let's keep moving. Another half day to Verdfall, if we're lucky. Being a game, I imagine they're not so lucky. Camp this way and manage your caravan during travels. You can enter a camp at any time by clicking Camp button on the travel HUD. While at camp or in towns, you can upgrade your allies or equip items in the hero's tent. You can pass time by using the rest tent. Resting will improve your caravan's morale. A high morale will reduce casualties in war and affect your willpower in combat. Each passing day will use supplies, so only rest when necessary. The training tent will allow you to safely try out any characters in a mock battle. Click leave at the bottom of the campsite when you're ready to go back to the road. So I'm guessing it wants me to click Heroes Tent. Injuries. One or more of your fighters sustained injuries. Injured units can still fight but have a penalty to max strength equal to the number of days wounded. They heal as time passes, so you've got... yeah, so you're going to be injured. Click on unit to view stats, promote ranks, and learn abilities. Click on the ability button to learn about the unit's abilities. Bring the pain. The Shieldmaster strikes an adjacent enemy for an armor damage before hunkering down and boosting his passive ability. Return the favour to return even more armor damage for one turn. By using Bring the Pain, the Shieldmaster can create a forward charge that punishes enemies for ganging up on him. Oh, that's a good idea. Return the favour, yeah. The character who attacks the shield banger loses 1 point of armor for each strike he makes. Return the favour every time the shield banger takes damage from an adjacent enemy, which can make it devastating to hit him with attacks that strike multiple times. Sundering Impact. Rank 1 break on heavy. That was to hits even harder than an average warrior with no chance to miss. He can wreak havoc with an additional 1 strength and 1 break armor. Damage to target, plus bonuses to heavy impact. Sundering impact is base used when carefully positioned to impact as many enemies on the ground as possible, so it smashes the ground. Yeah. Impale and knock back 1 space. Each kill the spearman makes encourages allies to fight harder, granting 1 pill to it. Okay. And you can hit enemies in an AoE and have heavy impact as well. Okay. That all seems easy. What's next then? I don't think I want to do anything really. I don't think there's much point in training or resting at the moment.
Winterfell. Even the name means bad weather, where frozen wind sweeps in from the bay. They tend livestock, just men driven from Strand, nowhere else to go. Why else would anyone stay? We won't stop long.